Hi students, so today we will talk about is education in India, and we will also talk about the role and channels in promoting economic growth. So as you can see on the screen, we have high literacy, and then we need is high research. So this is the role that is what we want exactly, and high quality demographic, okay, dividend. So what is demographic dividend? So the population should, like all, would contribute to the GDP only if education is there. Yes, and through education there will also be is population control. Okay, so population control also is the channels of, and then yes, slow and slowly the growth of institutions will also increase. So institutions, yes, and also there will be an increased inflow of foreign investment. So increased inflow of foreign investment. Yes, and yes, the society will become equalized, so equitable society. Okay, so more and more educated individuals are usually going to get more productive workers, and education, in citizens are more informed, and then they can vote properly also. And it has been observed also that educated families have access to financial assistance through education grants and loans. So public education helps in redistribution of income. So all child in households, no matter what their parents income are, must be provided with sufficient and very good education. So this will ensure fair income distribution in the near future. So the well governed government public schools that provide a free education gives every child, rich or poor, the chance to learn and develop his or her skills. Okay, so a stable and a demographic society is impossible without a minimum degree of literacy. So literacy is very, very important. And how do we promote this education? So there is like one channel through economic channel where we can allow, give them subsidies by way of education. Then we can also enhance the technology. So that is also one channel, that is technology. And then there is society. So more and society should be aware of education, and more institutions will be, we should increase. So this way we can increase the education. All right, so now in this chapter, what are the most important questions which you can expect? Okay, so let's see one by one, and I'll ask you questions also. Let me see how you can answer them. So the first question which I will ask you is, yes, I will ask you is, yes, what is the cause of poverty in India? So what is the cause of poverty in India? So we'll see one by one. So what is your answer? So the first answer is population explosion. There is limited resources, okay, weak institutions, if you remember, corruption. So there's a lot of corruption, lack of education. Yes, lack of education and literacy. And yes, we also have the colonial past. So that is very, very important. So these are the true causes of poverty. Okay, so and why are people poor, and why do they have the choices? So they don't have any freedom, they don't have any capabilities, they lack the choices. So this will be your answer. Okay, the second question, explain the vicious circle of poverty. So let me just clear this. Okay, so the vicious circle. So explain I'll just clear this. Alright, so the next question is explain the vicious circle of poverty. So the vicious circle of poverty, so what is it? So we will have a look about it. Let me write. Explain the vicious circle of poverty. Okay, so first is the vicious circle of poverty. The answer is low income, which brings you the lack of resources like education and health, and that brings you lack of productivity and capabilities. So there is no earning, so there is lack of earning opportunities, and that there is low wages, and hence it deteriorates your living standard. Along with that, again, you continue to gain low income. So that is the vicious circle of poverty, so which gives you low income followed with inadequate calorie intake. So that is also one, and then there is a deterioration in health, and then there is low productivity, and you have a low wage living. So there are two ways you can define vicious circle of poverty. Okay, now as I said, what is the meaning of poverty head count ratio? Poverty head count ratio and poverty gap ratio. So what are both the answers? So poverty head count ratio measures the proportion of population whose per capita income or consumption expenditure is below the official poverty line, or in simple terms it measures the total number of people living below the poverty line. So that is the poverty head count ratio. What is the poverty gap ratio? So the poverty gap ratio is the gap by which mean consumption of the poor below poverty line falls short of the poverty line. So it indicates the depth of the poverty. So while the number of poor people indicates that how much is the spread of poverty. So when you want to know the spread of poverty, you use the poverty gap ratio. Yes, so that is very, very important. Yes, the next question, what is absolute and relative poverty? Okay, so absolute poverty is like when we consider every poor person as equal. Okay, so the general definition of poverty which is valid here is that all times, all economies is called poor, and is called as absolute poverty. But whereas in relative poverty, the difficulties that it means that some researchers, they had abandoned the absolute thing, and they had said that the idea of absolute poverty has been replaced from the idea of relative poverty. Okay, so they say that the same poverty in one level is not the same in the other level. So it can be argued that poverty is best understood in a relative way. That is like say for example, you could have given New York and Mumbai also. So that is what they are saying, that even, and it is being told by who was the first person to start with relative poverty. What is the name? Yes, the name is Peter Townsend. So any definition of poverty must be related to the needs and the demands of the changing society. So that is relative poverty. Okay, coming to the next question, let's see. We will also now have, let me just wrap this. Okay, so we will talk about the trickle down approach. So this is also very important. So they will ask you also that what is the trickle down approach. Okay, so what is a trickle down approach? Okay, so what is it? What does it mean? It represents, a trickle down approach represents an unhealthy obsession with GDP and growth. Okay, so they say that if growth is there, it will take care of the rest of the things in the economy. So growth is very much important. So if there is a growth in an economy, the rest of the things will be taken down. So that is the meaning of trickle down economics. Okay, so now this was also argued. Okay, and yes, as I said, also we can ask you the question, what is the full form of OECD? What is the full form of OECD? So yes, the full form of OECD is Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. Okay, so this is very, very important. Okay, and now what is the meaning of multi-dimensional poverty? Okay, so multi-dimensional poverty index also you can call it as. So it is, what is the meaning of MPI? Okay, so it means like, where the poverty, by considering it overlaps monetary measures, where there are a lot of other deprivations suffered by individuals at the same time. So that is called as multidimensional. This was first published in the 2010 report, which measures poverty by considering the overlapping deprivations suffered by individuals at the same time. Okay, and this is an index which comes in the same 3 dimensions as like the Human Development Index. Okay, so this is called as multi-dimension poverty index. Okay, yes, now come to the next question. We will go on as we can see. So yes, in this they can ask you trickle down approach, they can also ask you inclusive growth, and they can also ask you multi-dimensional poverty index. Okay, now yes, the poverty eradication scheme. So let's talk about the poverty eradication schemes. Very important. So they will ask you this also. Poverty eradication schemes. Okay, so explain MN. Okay, let me MGNENREGA. So that is Manrega. So what is the meaning of this? And can you give me? So the name is, it's Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. Okay, and this was when was it started? When was the scheme started? When was it approached? The first initiation of this project was in September 5th, 2005. And when was it in effect? It was in effect from 2nd Feb. So this also you have to remember. 2006. Okay, what does Manrega aim on? So Manrega aims on enhancing livelihood security by providing at least 100 days guarantee wage employment. So this is very, very important, and it covers 200 districts. Okay, so that is the very important question. Okay, so let's come to the next one also. The next question they can ask you about is National Rural Livelihood Mission. So it is called as NRLM. Okay, so when is this and what is the importance of this? So yes, the answer is, it is one of the most important programs of the government of India in terms of allocation and coverage, and it seeks to reach 8 to 10 crores of rural poor households, and they organize them into this small villages at higher level from 2011, and 2021 is the aim. So 2021-22. Okay, and it ensures this adequate coverage of poor and vulnerable sections of the society through participatory processes and approved by Gram Sabha. Okay, so basically this is like, it seeks, it's one, as it gives you the entire help, or this program is based on rural development. Okay, rural poor development. Okay, So now if you can see, 27 states have covered up since 2014. Okay, so it gives you the special strategies for ST/SC categories, for tribal community, for elderly people. Okay, and that is why also 1.58 lakh youths have also set up their enterprises with this help of, so they are giving loans also to set up businesses. Okay, next one. Yes, explain Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana. Okay, so what is the answer for this? So the answer for this is that rural roads constitute about 80% of the country's roads. So it is basically for road development and infrastructure. Okay, and it is also, what is the short form? It is called as PMGSY. So they can even ask you the short form and they can ask you the full form of it. Okay, and basically it was launched. When was it launched? When was Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana launched? Yes, so the date is 25th December 2000. It was a centrally sponsored scheme to assist the states. Okay, so this is a very, very important question. Okay, the next one, explain what is Indira Awas Yojana. So all the poverty alleviation programs are very, very important. Okay, so it is also called as IAY. Okay, so this is also a flagship for the Ministry of Rural Development. Okay, and it is basically helping the BPL, below poverty line families, who are either are houseless, or they don't have house, or they have adequate facilities. So this is a program which will build houses for them with a safe and a durable shelter. Yes, so that is the question. Okay, write the full form of PMAY and explain about it. Yes, so the name of this is Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, and it was launched in June 2015. Okay, so it gives you pakka houses with water facilities, sanitation, and electricity supply round the clock, that is 24 hours. Okay, and yes, so this is a scheme which was meant to cover up the annual income, the people who are below 3 lakhs. Okay, the entire income. So that is very important, so you have to remember this. Okay, so this is the one, and this is a very new scheme, and the old scheme has been replaced, so PMY is going on. Okay, the next one, explain the national urban. So national urban livelihoods scheme. Okay, so it is called as NULM. What is the answer? So National Urban Livelihood Schemes has launched, it is called as National Urban Livelihood Scheme, that is NULM, in the 12th 5-year plan with effect from 24th September 2013. Yes, and it is replaced so this is the program, they will ask you this question, this is the program which has replaced the existing Swarna Jayanti Shahari Rozgar Yojana. Okay, and it helps the self-help groups for creating opportunities by giving them skill development, market based employment and all that. So this is very, very important, because this is a new program which has been replaced with the old program. Okay, the next one. Yes, the next one is, when was National Food Security Mission launched? Okay, so yes, the government of India launched it in 2007 to launch a food security mission, and comprising of rice, wheat and pulses, to increase the production of rice by 10 million, wheat by 8 million tons and pulses by 2 millions. within the 11th 5-year plan, that is 2011 and 12 was the 11th 5-year plan. So this was launched in October 2007 and it is to be continued till 12th 5-year plan. So it was launched in 11th 5-year plan, it was continued to be 12th 5-year plan. Okay. Now as I said also, now they have added some more things. So rice was there, wheat was there, pulses was there, and now they have also added is oats, cereals, and also commercial crops. So this also they have increased. Okay, so this is very important, so they can ask you this question also. Yes, what is the full form of ICDS? Okay, so the full form is Integrated Child Development Services. Okay, so it is implemented by Government of India and it's one of the world's, yes, this the question they will ask you, which is the world's largest and unique program for early childhood. So this is ICDS. Okay, and the beneficiaries under this age is from 0 to 6 years. Okay, they will give you all the nutrition, then especially for the health status of the children, this service is given. Okay, and it was launched in 1975. Okay, and there are Anganwadi, so they can even ask you how many Anganwadi centers are there right now. So 4891, okay, as on now, and they are all operational. So these are the questions which they will ask you from poverty. Yes, now we can talk about is education. Okay, so we can also talk about poverty and we can also talk about education, so that is also very important. So let us see what we can study about education. That is the last part of this chapter. What questions can you expect from there? Okay, so just let me rub this.